Good morning. I'm Michelle Plummer, and I work for the American Dairy Association, and I'm a registered dietitian, and I just finished up 17 days at the fair where I sold 60,000 milkshakes and 60,000 grilled cheese sandwiches. So I can appreciate what every one of you do every single day. And you are?
I'm Chef Sam Brown, and I'm the Director of Culinary Training for Second Helpings. And we feed thousands of hungry Hoosiers every day at Second Helpings using donated food. Currently, we're doing about 3,560 meals per day, 6 days a week. At the same time, we're operating a free 10-week culinary job training program. So I know a little bit, and most of the food that we prepare goes to kids after school programs, daycares, and one of our priorities is childhood hunger. So I do a little bit, but not as much as you do every day.
And we, with the American Dairy Association, when we shut down the state fair this year, all of our leftovers, our mozzarella sticks, our grilled cheese, because we always have leftovers, all of our milk, everything goes to Second Helpings, because we understand that children don't get their 3 servings of dairy every day. We also understand food insecurity, and they really don't get their dairy. Even though we're trying to help that, there's still a need. So we understand that you all do this every single day. We're just up here to try and give you some tips. We may look like we know what we're doing. Pretty sure that you can give us hints. Every event that we've done, we've learned from you all. Our job here is to give you suggestions on giving some ideas of healthier eating, how to make your life simpler in the kitchen. Both of us serve a lot of people every single day, and so we have to be efficient and effective, and that's what we're going to be able to share with you. You will also see that we are very dairy friendly here, specifically because calcium and potassium, magnesium are so important for the kids. And we're going to add that with some fun, and you'll see how we're going to make the fun. So, shall we do something?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, once again, as an executive chef and as a dad, I want to thank you all for what you do every day. One of the things we want to just ask you right out the gate is, or very early in the process, is everything that we're going to do today, we want you to see it through the eyes of a child. So remember that, and I know that's what you do every day, but we want to try to keep our demonstrations and our presentations today based on how you work in the kitchen, portion sizes for children, and how it's best going to help you operate with the child and adult food program. So
no cordon bleu?
No cordon bleu today, all right?
Well.
First and foremost, as you know, our first primary mission every single day is always what? Food safety. So, so that you know, I've already washed the vegetables, I've washed my hands and sanitized myself, and then right here I have a sanitation bucket, which technically should not necessarily be on the prep area, but should be in the vicinity of the prep area. So, because normally that sanitation solution is going to contain what? Chlorine bleach. And so we don't want chlorine bleach up in the food preparation area because we don't want it to come in contact with the food accidentally. And also, anybody know what the ratio is of bleach to water for that sanitation solution? Any suggestions out there?
This is the interactive part. Come on.
Tell us.
A cap full to a gallon? Yeah.
Okay. Right, so the rule of thumb, once again, on the sanitation solution is, if you can smell the bleach, you've probably used too much bleach, okay? You should not be able to smell the bleach. So after we've gotten our area sanitized and our vegetables have been washed, one of the most important things that you're gonna see and hear me talk about, and it's very important in any kitchen, whether it's childcare, whether it's a restaurant, is a term called mise en place. So I'd like you to go ahead and open the packets that we provided for you and you'll see a page called, a term called mise en place.
I just love it when you talk French.
Right. Mise en place is a French term because classical French cuisine is the foundation of all modern cooking. And mise en place just means that you have to have everything in its place. So as you can see, and that's one of the things that as we travel across the state and we're in a lot of different kitchens, Michelle and I, when we see people working harder than they should, it's because they failed to mise en place. That means they failed to get everything ready before they start. The other thing that we talk about is organizing your kitchen so that it's got an effective flow so that you don't have to take so many steps every day in the kitchen. So as you can see here, one of the first things I'm going to be demonstrating for you today is yogurt. I've already washed the berries. I have the yogurt. It's already open. I have the cups. I have the ice, everything, my tasting spoons. Everything that I need to prepare this particular recipe is already here. So what am I trying to tell you? When you're working in your kitchen, if whatever you're using is more than 1.5 steps away, it's too far. Bring all of those ingredients and all those tools and all that equipment into your workspace, if possible.
And we've been to kitchens where, through this series, where people have made subtle changes that really make a huge difference. So we would encourage you to go back to your kitchen and look at it with what they call fresh eyes, so that you are making it more efficient, so you don't go home tired, that you don't go home with your shoulders slouched and all of that because you've had a hard day. We're trying to make it a little bit lighter for you and a little bit easier for you. And small changes will do that. Even moving all your pans to right underneath you. If you have an island, moving them underneath you instead of in the cupboard or behind you where you're having to do that turn. It's not a dance that you're doing in the kitchen. You shouldn't be doing the hokey pokey and you shouldn't be doing the twist. It should actually be simple and easy so that you don't have to move that much, because you've got a time restraint.
Right.
And you and I usually are not on time, but if we have to be, we could be.
Right. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about, what you guys deal with every day, and I know that through the Child and Adult Care Food Program, is portion control. So always remember those measurements, and we've provided you with some bags today that have some measuring tools in it and some things to help you do your job a little better, and then just some fun things as well.
Not all your bags are going to be alike, so don't feel like you got slighted, or if your partner, somebody you were working with got cupped and you got a mug. What happened was when Sam and I was granted the grant, we talked to the guy who did the knives for us, who got our knives for you, because we really felt that was the one tool that everybody needs in their kitchen. When we started talking, as chefs, nobody uses our knives but us, okay? Nobody shares knives in the kitchen. Therefore, when Sam went to a site, and he'll tell you the story, the knives were everybody's knives. So it had a different feel and it was hard to work with and all of that. So we felt like everybody needed an individual knife. Well, then what happened is they called and they said, we have some other things that we'd like to give you. And there's not 500 of everything, but there's a lot of everything. So that's why you got a goodie bag that possibly you can use in your kitchen or use as you're doing meal service or something like that, that gets you to think a little bit different than maybe you're thinking currently.
Talk about that.
You want to talk about this?
Sure.
Do you guys know what these are? Have you seen these? They're spoon straws, yes. Mm-hmm. And at the state fair, I told you this, we gave out 10,000 of these. Boom, gone, 3 days. They were supposed to last 17. I don't know what happened. But the kids love them. And it's a great way to encourage them to drink milk. It's a great way for them to eat their cereal, their smoothies, all that sort of thing. These are really economical to find and to buy, And if you're interested, we can give you information. But this is a really fun tool for the kids, even for just to send home. Because we know that kids do better if they start with breakfast. And I'm hungry.
Okay, and that's just where we're going to start right now. So once again, I have my mise en place done. What we're trying to do today is show you a typical or an example of a one-day menu that perhaps you might want to use in your facilities. You might add some things, you might take some things away, and that's fine. But one thing we know for sure is by far the most important meal of the day, whether you're a child or an adult, is breakfast. And so what we want to show you is how to make smoothies. They're simple, they're easy to make. Once again, it goes into that mise en place. It can be used for breakfast, but it can also be used as a PM snack. And the beauty of them is that they can be made in advance. And so that next morning, after you've had that long Monday, you can just have those smoothies already ready, and they're ready to go to the classroom, or they're ready to go directly into the cafeteria. And it takes a little bit of the labor of producing a meal every morning off of your plate. So
while you're talking or making breakfast,
noise.
yeah, I'll talk. The American Culinary Federation, the ACF, has this great website called Chef and Child. And the reason that we're telling you these websites is so that you can go at your leisure. Rather than printing everything off, we want you to go to these sites because you can mix and match. One of the smoothies that I thought that we should make is this one. And you need to work with me a little bit, okay? So it's called a, we'll just give you the ingredients first. So I use red beets. How many of you are serving beets in your facility? We got 3. Okay, Sam, here we go. A mango. How many of you use mangoes? Okay. Do you use the fresh, or do you use canned or frozen? Fresh and frozen. Okay.
Good.
I'm a frozen girl because that seed scares me. 1 banana, some milk, some orange juice, and that's it. So this is going to be a smoothie with the beets in it. Okay, now picture in your head, because that lady back there is looking at me like I'm crazy. Again, what color are beets? What color is mango? Yellow. What color is banana? What color is orange juice? Okay, good. So when we start adding these together, what's going to happen to that beet? It's only going to intensify the red color. It's not going to taste like much. I guess I should have told them that there was only an ounce of beets, which is only 2 tablespoons.
Right.
Okay, not much beet, but the flavor is electric. It's like Superman red. So if you do themes in your facilities, having Superman smoothies, they don't have to know it's beet, not yet, but makes breakfast a lot more fun. And you can use that theme throughout the whole day. Then you can start incorporating other foods. We thought that starting out with the beets might be a little intense for you guys. So we're going to make the other version, which is right next to it, the berry blast. Okay, so we're going to get you started. Sam's going to start adding everything. And the nice thing about smoothies is that you can play with them. On this website, there's no less than 30 different types of smoothies. On our website at wintersdrinkmilk.com, there's another 30. We made 2 of them up at the state fair because I had some caramel sauce and I had this new pineapple yogurt, and I thought the 2 of them would work. So we had kind of like a caramel pineapple sundae smoothie that the kids really liked.
Okay.
So let's see what you got.
All right, so what I have is some fresh blueberries and some fresh strawberries. I've used some strawberry yogurt. I'm just going to incorporate that all together. Remember, you can use frozen. How many people here, or how many facilities here, have an unlimited food budget and you can just order or buy whatever you want?
Oh, good.
Okay, good. So 1. All right, well, it's okay to use frozen IQF fruit. It's okay to use canned fruit. I'd probably recommend that if it's sitting in heavy syrup or something like that, that you might want to drain some of the syrup off of it first.
All the syrup.
Right, some of the syrup. You know, we have this love-hate relationship between the chef and the dietitian. She says all the syrup, I say some of the syrup.
All the
Keep
syrup.
the syrup for the cobbler.
Cobbler?
I
No
mean,
cobbler.
Okay, wow.
Oh, jeez.
You
Here
gotta
we
let
go.
a kid be a kid. All right.
We
So
have an obesity epidemic. What are you going to do about that?
we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Because that's very important to me as a chef. And right now, childhood obesity and juvenile diabetes are big issues that must be resolved. And guess who gets to start that movement? You guys do. You know why? Because when they're 15 and 16, it's too late. You got them while they're 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if you teach them about fruits and vegetables, and if you serve them fruits and vegetables, then that becomes a part of their culture, and that becomes what they expect every day. Once they get 15 and 16, now we're fighting against what? The vending machines. Okay? And as a chef or a dietitian, we aren't going to be very successful with the 15-year-old to try to get them to make better choices when there's a vending machine over there with Reese cups and Kit Kats and all those things. So I've added the fresh berries here to the yogurt. Use whatever berries you like. Use whatever fruit you like. You know your kids more than anybody else. Those are your babies, right? Okay? You feed them every day. You love on them. Whatever you know that they like, that's what you put in here.
You know, the interesting thing about frozen product, whether it's vegetables or fruit, is that by law, the fruit can't be picked until it's at the perfect sweetness, the perfect ripeness. So the food that is frozen is picked when it is the ripest and the perfect sweetness, and then it has to be processed within 24 hours. The stuff that's fresh on your shelves, they're picked green so they can be transported. So they're not going to have and be as sweet. So if you can use frozen, if you have the room for frozen or have the room for canned and then drain the syrup, you're getting your kids a much better product. You're giving them more nutrition in subtle ways, and you're watching your food budget. So it's kind of like a winning trifecta in that respect, and they're still getting something that they'll enjoy.
They said they don't have a food budget.
Well, I know, but maybe someday they'll incorporate that.
Uh-oh. Let's try it that way. Oh, on TV, huh?
How about if you...
So what happens when you do that is you take it off and you stir it in.
And the kids like to see this. If you make food in front... Do any of you make food in front of your kids? Sometimes you have demonstrations and stuff. Kids like that. They like to see what's going on. If they get to participate, they're going to enjoy much more. If they get to play with their food, and I know it takes longer, please, I know. But if they're going to eat more, that means that you're winning the battle.
Okay.
Do you want milk?
I'm gonna try ice.
Okay.
Maybe we're not gonna have smoothies. Shake it? She said shake it.
And there's always sometimes you just overfill the blender. But that's okay. The other nice thing about when you're making smoothies, we talked to you about making them ahead of time. You make the entire base ahead of time. Really?
Yeah, not doing nothing today.
Hey, I got an idea.
Plan B.
You always have backup.
Exactly.
Okay. You scooch over.
The whole thing off though, because if we take off just this, it's going everywhere.
Voila.
Plan B.
Nice job.
Good job.
That wasn't planned.
Which leads right into the next thing. How many of you have either of these pieces of equipment in your operation right now?
Only a few.
Only a few of you.
Well, the really neat thing about all of this is that all of you will be entered into a drawing to win an equipment coupon or a blender, whichever one you need most. One lady told us that she needed an entire new kitchen. That won't be happening.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Just so you know, don't get your hopes high. We don't have that kind of budget. But
if you need a whole kitchen, see Heather. She'll talk to you.
yeah, but we realize that if we just give you blenders, some of you already have blenders, but some of you may not have food processors and you need those. Some of you may need spatulas more than you need anything else. So our thought is that if we give you a certificate, you can buy what you want. So you're all entered into that, but you're not entered into one for the entire state. You're entered into one for just today. Okay, so every site we go to has their own entries so that we were trying to be fair.
Right.
And made the odds better.
Okay. So I'm
Are we done?
almost done.
I'm hungry.
I'm pretty much done.
Okay. Yum. And I had you a ladle. Oh,
I got
mise en place. Who
Mise en
knew?
place. You want to hold?
I'll hold. Okay, this part
So-
takes a while, so we'll talk.
Right. So, as you taste this, what I want you to think about is color. Would your kids look at that and say, hey, that's pretty good? Because you know, kids are visual. And we also know that they're what? Brutally honest, right? You know, they don't have a problem
Ick.
with telling the lunch lady or the chef or their parents or whoever it is, that's nasty. I'm not eating it. Yes, ma'am. I'll direct that question
They
to the
can have,
dietitian.
being lactose intolerant doesn't mean that you avoid milk or dairy. Because yogurt is a fermented food, the lactose has been broken down. So there is not a problem with lactose. If you're giving them 3 servings of milk a day, they may have a bellyache or something like that, but we start out small. So you'll see in the cheeses we use are hard cheeses. You'll see that we use a lot of yogurt. So in the recipes that we're going to use later on, that we mix it in. There's 3 ways that you can help with lactose. You can use a fermented product like yogurt or buttermilk or something like that. You can start out with small amounts. You can also heat. So like when you make your tomato soup, when you make your oatmeal, you use milk. The heating of it breaks down that sugar and doesn't have any problems at all. So great question. How we doing?
It looks good. I'm ready to eat it.
Okay. Do y'all have any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
We've got a couple on soy.
Yes.
We handle,
Are they soy by conviction or soy by necessity?
I believe it's allergies.
Okay. If you have soy, if they're on soy for everything, is that what you're telling me? Then you have to abide by that, and and you can make a smoothie with the soy just as well, using soy milk or something like that. We would rather you have the vitamins of calcium and vitamin D, and that's both in the soy milk also to help the kids, because there are some kids that have some allergies and some issues. Any other questions? Oh, so far so good.
I want to make a little comment also about the smoothie. If you notice, I added ice. If you're using IQF frozen fruit, then you don't have to add the ice because the fruit will already be cold. So that's the only reason I added it today, is we went with fresh fruit. We transported it, and then it sat out here a little bit during our lecture portion. So
The other question I have is, how many of you have served bananas? Okay, so you have bananas and they get a little dark on you. Okay,
those are the
if
best
you
ones.
take those and freeze them those are your ice cubes. Those will make your smoothies, okay? And it's not going to alter the flavor. There's only so many banana muffins and banana cookies and chocolate dipped banana little chips that you can make, right? So that's what we're trying to help you with. That one's short.
Uh-oh.
That one's probably going to be mine.
Sure. Yeah, this is yours.
Great. I knew it.
All right.
Okay.
So when you look at that and you have an opportunity to taste, let's think about how does it feel? You know, little people have big opinions about how things feel in their mouth. Okay? One of the things that was good about this recipe, and I like this recipe, is that it chose to use strawberry yogurt. So it's pre-sweetened, and kids are going to tend to like it a little bit better. As far as the beet yogurt recipe, once again, this recipe calls for 1 ounce of beets, but it calls for a whole mango, a whole banana, and orange juice. So are you really going to taste the beets? No. Okay.
What do you get out of the beets, though?
Lots of
Iron. You get a
Lots
little
of-
calcium. You're going to get a little
I was gonna say
potassium.
potassium.
So everything
need
that
that.
you add,
So
every time you add something, you're
need some
going
more.
to make it more nutritious. There's not a lot of nutrition in water. There's not a lot of nutrition in, sugar. Okay. So if we're going to give our kids better, we need to make sure that we are giving everything that we add is high in quality nutrition.
I think I need to make a little bit more.
Yes, because I'm running out and they're going to get ugly.
Okay.
I just know they're going to get ugly.
Thank you.
The nice thing about this is we want you to remember what this feels like. We'll make more. Because we're going to make a smoothie later, and making that smoothie later it's called a peacharoo, and it has a different texture to it, and that's going to maybe be something that your kids like better, or if you're not serving smoothies already, you're going to start out serving them like that. Because you have to start somewhere, and our theory is that you start out where you're comfortable at. Because how many of you eat with your kids? Okay, why don't the rest of you? Any reason? You don't like the food, you'd rather go out? Okay. If the kids see you eating the food, they're going to eat the food. Okay? And they're going to trust you because right now you are their whole world. Okay? And they believe you and trust you, and you go home and all I hear about is Mrs. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so. Mrs. So-and-so ranks better than Nana some days. Okay? So that's what you're kind of looking for. Okay? You have that credibility and you have that place in their life. So if you're eating with them, they are going to believe whatever you're eating is best for them. You have more stuff?
I'll make some.
Should I cut up some strawberries?
Sure. Why not?
Okay. I'll help. He always likes
want
this
the
part.
Vanilla. I want the vanilla.
You want the vanilla?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want plain.
Yeah, plains. Okay. I heard Michelle, I didn't hear the first part of it, but one of the things that we want to incorporate and encourage you to do today is taste some of the products also, because here's what we know, is that in most cases, you're going to give your babies things that you like.
There you go.
So if you don't like it,
May not need fruit.
there's a possibility that they may not get it. Okay? So today we're going to be giving you as you prepare your lunch with the recipes that were provided.
Hey, you can't be putting that in there. This is
Serving
what
it?
we're going to serve in here.
Oh, okay. Take that.
Take this. See what happens when mise en place gets messed up? This is what you guys are doing at your kitchen. Ah, I gotta find stuff. Ah, where's everything at? Okay. So hopefully, your blenders, your Cuisinarts aren't going to necessarily be enough to make for everything. That's why we're telling you, if you make it the night before, your base, then you can quick whiz up the ice or whiz up the frozen fruit, and it'll go much smoother. Okay, that's why we're wanting you to do this. Some of the other things that the reasons that we want you to go to the ACF is these color brochures not only give you all kinds of recipes, it also gives you the cost of how much doing an activity will do. If you're going to have the kids make smoothies in their classroom, I know you're on you have an unlimited budget, but you might still need to justify something. So you'll have an idea of how much this costs, okay? Also, one of the things that we realized, we found out when we first started doing this, is how many of you work with a distributor? Okay, a distributor, McFarland, GFS, those types of people. Okay, if you're not working with them, maybe you should give them a call. Because if you're feeding 50 kids a week, you can make the amounts that you need. They're going to deliver it. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You don't have to go up and down the aisles. And they're going to drop it off at your back door. And most of them will put it where you need it. So that's like having an extra helper that you're not paying for directly. And that's going to save you time. Okay? That's one of the things that we kind of realized that maybe some people didn't know, and we want to encourage you to do that. The other thing on the chef and child, oh, you're ready, I'll shut up.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, is that you have different ideas, different discussions, questions. Like if you're sitting at the table eating with your children and you run out of the same old questions every day, they offer you questions to talk about. Talk about the strawberries, talk about the yogurt, talk about why you did that, and other interesting questions that incorporate my plate and things like that. So you can add a nutrition lesson at lunch in ways that kids don't think about. Okay, let's feed the rest of them.
Before I start that. How many of you have already started using My Plate and have already incorporated that into your menus?
A few, good.
Okay, good deal.
This is so pretty. Okay.
Personal sanitation is right down there. Thank you.
Good thing we had this, huh?
That's why mise en place is so important.
Yeah, and we're practicing it. I so like it when we can do what we teach. Okay.
So, just for our knowledge, how many of you have facilities where you serve food to 25 children or less per day? You're doing 25 children or less? 25 to 50? 50 to 75? Quite a few.
Yeah,
More than 100? More than 100 kids per day. Wow.
that's a
Good
lot.
job. Okay. Well, my hat goes off to you.
I'm ready.
Oh,
I'm
you
ready.
Okay, you want to do it now. All right, let's do it now. So we can move on to other things.
Okay.
I wanted to put my finger in there. Grab that
There's
one.
a whole, in this one cup, there's like a half a blueberry, and Sam wanted to take it out. So just chew. It'll happen to you with the kids, and they're going to go, ooh, and just work with them. And again, with the smoothies, if you need to thin it out, you can add milk, or you could add more yogurt, depending on if you have young kids that really don't want the malt-like thickness or the shake thickness of it.
Which is the right way to do it, but you know how the little people are, right?
I think we're good.
Did I get the last one? There's one more. Okay.
Okay.
We got some
Leaving?
more. Leaving. All right.
Leaving.
Okay, so got the smoothies out the way. So that's your AM meal. Later, you're going to have an opportunity, and if you look in your packet, there's a recipe for granola. If you wanted to, you could add the granola to that. And now you're adding what, a grain? Or you're actually developing a cereal, perhaps, by adding the granola to it. And once again, when we talk about that mise en place thing, you know, here's one of the things that we see often is we'll see a cook that's in his or her kitchen and they're doing their thing and they're preparing lunch. But they have a 4-burner stove or a 6-burner stove, and they have 2 of the burners working and 2 of the burners empty. And my question is why? Why, if you're preparing lunch for today and you got 2 burners working and 2 burners empty, why not go ahead and put the boiling water in there and cook off the pasta for later on in the week and chill it and it's already ready to go? Why not have that oven going and be making the granola on Monday morning that will carry you through Wednesday? And that granola is either part of the cereal, it's the topping for the peach or the apple crisp, it's the PM snack with some milk. So mental mise en place, why am I doing? So here's what we talk about. In any commercial kitchen, if you want to be successful, it breaks down to 3 P's. Production, prep, and pull. Produce what you need for today, prep what you need for tomorrow, go to the freezer and pull what you need for the 3rd day so that it's already thawed out when you get ready to use it. That's another nightmare in the kitchen, is when you walk in and whatever's on the menu is frozen. Okay? I don't know about you, but these weren't really designed to go through frozen food. Okay? So, production, prep, and pull. Use all of your burners, use your ovens. If you're going to be in the kitchen and you got to do the work, then let's do enough work so that at some point we don't have to do everything every day. So what are we saying? Look at that menu on Monday, but don't just look at Monday, look at the rest of the week. If I'm going to be making hamburger helper later in the week, then let's go ahead and cook off that elbow macaroni, and let's go ahead and cook off that ground beef today. And then that day of, what are we doing? We're reheating it, incorporating the noodles, putting our marinara sauce in there. It's ready to go. Layer of cheese on the top, because we got to add dairy, you know that. Yes. So layer of cheese on the top, it goes in the oven, it's done. But you know what we're doing instead? We're trying to cook all of that the same day. So look at it. Rice. If you're going to do rice later on in the week, so I got 2 burners working, and on the 3rd burner I got my pasta going, and on the 4th burner I got the rice going. Okay? So remember that. We just want to encourage you and show you some ideas and things that you can do to make your life easier. Why should you have to prepare every dish, every day, the day of?
The nice thing too is if you already have that part prepped, that gives you time to do some of the things that we're going to show you later on. Okay? That you say, you know, I don't have enough time, or I've got time, I am always backed up in paperwork, which I am always backed up in paperwork. But like working into something for an activity for the kids, or having time, wouldn't it be nice to have time to do your paperwork and then go home and not have to worry about it and say, whoop, tomorrow is just cakewalk, okay? That's what we're trying to do. So when we talk to you later on, we talked about the granola, we talked about the stove and all of that, but then there's still some other recipes that the kids can actually make if you portion it out for them. We're going to make a no-bake cookie that literally is no bake. Okay, we're going to eat them today. And the kids can do all of it. Okay, and that's part of what can be worked into a PM snack. If you, when you're making your granola, you go ahead and measure out for the cookies. Now we've got all these already done, and we're only touching the item once. So that's what we're trying to get you to think about. Only touching a food item one time during the day. And there's a saying in the kitchen that that you're going to cut once and use multiple times. So if I'm cutting up onions, I'm going to cut up 5 cups of onions, but I'm going to use it for 15 dishes, depending on what we need. Okay? And that means then we're done with the crying, done with the tears, and we're on to something else, which we probably should be moving on to something else.
Absolutely.
Okay.
How many of you serve chicken in your facilities? You serve chicken?
Do you start from raw?
You have raw, like frozen?
How many start from
chicken
raw?
breast?
Wow, this
Okay.
is great. This is the
Good.
biggest number we've had so far.
Okay.
Yay.
Good. How many use this when they make their chicken? Why not? You do it at home, right?
Yeah.
You think the babies wouldn't like it too?
What do
How-
you use on your chicken in your facility?
Okay. Salt. All right.
Seasoned salt?
Uh-oh. I'm going to let you have that one. Here's what I'm wanting you to do. Here's what I recommend you do. Why can't we take this and maybe not necessarily in a Ziploc bag, because I bet all of you serve more than 2 kids per day, right? But how about in a 4-inch deep hotel pan or in a bus tub? If you, once again, seeing that chicken is on the menu 2 days from now or a day from now, marinate it. We do it all the time at home. How come we don't do it in our operation? Because sometimes we forget.
Can we talk about salt real quick?
Talk about salt.
Okay, by 2020, which isn't very far away, the industry standard is 50% less salt. We're already serving too much salt. There's other seasonings that you need to start using in your kitchens to compensate for the salt. So Sam doesn't use salt up here, okay? He did use it at a demo for me recently, but just a little bit. He got away with it. But think about all the other flavorings that we're going to add. So in the chicken, we used the dressing. They used red pepper, onions, garlic, a little olive oil. Those are the same things that you have at home. Those are the same things that you have in your kitchen. If you use lemon juice for your chicken or lime juice instead of using salt, they're going to have the same flavor, but they're also going to be tenderized. If you use salsa to bake on top of the chicken, you're not going to have to worry about adding extra salt. Okay? You can put marinara on them. You can use sauteed celery and onions on top, or just lay the chicken out on a pan and literally cover it with celery and onions and roast it for 15-20 minutes, and when that comes out, it's going to have fabulous flavor, but then you've got your roasted vegetables that you can use somewhere else, even if you use it for your stock. Okay? So the idea is to reduce the amount of sodium used and reduce the amount of salt used so that the kids don't have to worry about it later on, and that their flavor is being adjusted already, because so many of the restaurants add extra salt, extra sugar when you don't need to. Okay?
Okay.
So what you need to do now is we're going to talk a couple of things about, we're going to show you how to cut up a pepper the way we do it, and then we're going to give you a little break here for about 10 minutes, and then when you come back, we're going to have stations set up. There's going to be 6 stations set up for you to cook, okay? And He's okay. He's not going anywhere. He's coming back, I promise. He's going to show you how to cut up a pepper. But the stations you all are going to prepare. The recipes are on the pans. You're going to prepare it, and you need to make enough for how many Heather tells us here. So it looks pretty close to like 50 servings, but they're small servings, okay? The idea is for us to taste and look at it from the eyes of a child. Are the kids going to like what we make? Are the kids going to like how we prepared it? We did the vegetable pizza at the state fair like for 17 demos, and everybody liked it, adults and kids. And the kids really liked it when I added the fresh herbs versus the dry herbs. So that says something. Kids are are learning to be more palatable. So show them that, and I will get everything else started.
Okay. So, how many of you use knives every day in your food service operation? How many of you use the little knives like this? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Now you have them.
These little small knives are called paring knives, but I call them painful knives because eventually, after using them for a small period of time, guess what starts to happen? Pain in the wrist. It's very important that you use the right knife for the job, and the best knife to use for general purpose cutting and chopping in a food service operation is the French knife, and it's also called the chef's knife. Now this one is about a 12-inch chef's knife. They start off at 8 inches and they go as far as 14 inches, and I didn't bring my nice 14-inch one today. But you have to be able to use the knife effectively in order to prepare food that's going to, first of all, we know that everyone, whether you're a child or an adult, we eat with our eyes first. If it looks good, then guess what? We're probably more likely to go ahead and taste it, especially little people. Because little people don't have great knowledge about food, and they don't always know what you're putting in their food, but if you make their food look good, then they'll probably taste it. But before we go into anything else, how was the smoothies? What'd you think about the smoothies? Taste good? Would your kids eat it? How did it feel in your mouth?
It's okay.
You can tell us. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Texture issues, some of you? Okay, good. Later you're going to get to make one that doesn't contain berries, and you'll be able to see the difference in the contrast in the texture. About the knife. This is called a sharpening steel. How many people have one of those inside of your facilities? Sharpening steels. Good. The good news is that the sharpening steel will help keep the edge on the knife, but that sharpening steels really don't sharpen knives. So I recommend that you buy something else for sharpening. Normally they have like the nice little electric sharpeners that you can buy at like GFS or Cisco or wherever your purveyor is or whoever provides your food. Or if you're really fancy and really want to invest, you can buy a whetstone, or you can send it out to a professional cutlery that will sharpen them for you. And some of them will even come to your location, sharpen it there, and they'll give you loaners so you can continue to cook while they're sharpening your knives out in the parking lot. But this is called a sharpening steel. And in order to hone the blade on your chef's knife or even your paring knife, you want to hold the sharpening steel in front of you like so. Now what you'll notice is, so don't worry about it, is that this sharpening steel has a hand guard. So it's not going to hurt you, okay? And then you want to put your chef's knife in your hand, and you want to go from the heel of the knife to the tip, just like so. And that's all you do. And you only need to do it 3 or 4 times, and that's it. The other technique, because I can see some people are grimacing as they see me move that knife toward my hand, is that you can put the sharpening steel on your cutting board, That way your hand is up top, and then you can come down like this. How many people like that a little bit better? Yeah, I know. All right, so you can do it that way also. All right. Holding the knife. There's 3 acceptable methods to holding your knife or your grip of your knife. The most acceptable one and the most common one should be by putting the first finger on your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, it would be your right hand. If you're left-handed, it would be your left hand. And then putting your thumb on the other side of the blade, just like so. So when holding the knife, you have the knife hand and you have the guide hand. Here's what you don't want to do, and here's what lots of people do, is they put that finger up there like that. Guess what's going to happen after years of doing that? You're walking down the street and people see you doing like your fingers stuck in that position. So we don't want our fingers stuck in that position. Go ahead and just curl it around there, and the other fingers are wrapped around the blade. When I'm cutting, first of all, my eyes are focused on exactly what I'm doing. Okay? You want to make sure that your total focus is on that. If I'm going I'm going to demonstrate how to dice the bell pepper. So I have my blade, I have my steel. I'm going to take my knife. Most important thing on the guide hand is to do what? See how my fingers are? Curl those fingertips back. Whenever those fingertips are like this or like this, you're setting yourself up for a cut. Okay? Take that. Watch how many people use bell peppers in their kitchen? Anybody use them? How about if I show you a way to cut it where you have no seeds on the cutting board? No seeds. Then, if I'm going to cut it into strips, the best way to cut the bell pepper is you always keep the skin side down. So no skin side up. That's harder to cut it. And watch my technique. It's all in the wrist. If you got to start doing like this, then that's a clear indication that you have a dull knife. And eventually, you're going to be needing rotator cuff surgery, okay? Because your shoulders are good, and your back and all that's going to be, you're going to have some physical problems with that. So watch this. I put my hand here, and watch the tip of my knife. It never leaves the cutting board. Okay? So once again,
Are you doing the work for them?
nope, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to let them do the rest.
Just asking.
Then I'll take the other side if you want to dice it. Line them up. And perfect uniform cuts. And why are uniform cuts important? Because if you don't have uniform cuts, and one ingredient or one piece of food is this size and the other one is this size, guess what? This piece is going to be done and this piece is not. And then you want to know why they don't want to eat it. Well, they don't want to eat it because it wasn't fully cooked. Okay? So you got to make sure that, especially things that they're going to see, they need to be uniform cut. And when it comes to knife skills, the most important thing is practice. You know, if you do it over and over and over again, then you'll be able to get a little bit more repetition with the speed and things like that. But most importantly, you got to have sharp knives and you got to have the right grip on the knife. Okay?
And we know that most of you, and the only reason we know it's most is because of where we've been, you cut differently than the way we cut. And you're going to, when I tell you, when we walk around and talk to you and tell you you need to bend your hand or you need to do this, you're going to say, well, it's uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable. Most things are uncomfortable when you first start learning, but the amount of skill and the amount of time, once you start getting this honed, you will be able to increase your cutting speed and uniformity by 25 to 33%, which is huge if you're chopping and dicing. For those of you who are doing 100, 200 kids a day, that's what you really need to be concerned with. So we'll give you a break. When you come back, Heather says there's 45. So we're going to break you into probably groups of 8. And back on the back table are your utensils, your cutting boards, all of that. Over here we'll have all your food placed out for the different groups. And think about what you think you'd like to make, because there's so many of you, you can stretch out and do a lot. If you came with somebody that works in your facility, we would strongly recommend that you not cook with them today. You're only going to be away from them 15, 20 minutes. It'll be okay. Because you can learn more. You can practice more. And that's our whole goal, is to try a couple of different recipes. We're using all the recipes that are in your packet, and you'll make all of those. And we'll get to taste all of those. So if you guys want to take about a 10-minute break, walk around, do whatever you want to do, we'll get set up and we'll reconvene shortly. How we have this set up is that you don't get your own individual kitchen. We made mock kitchens, kind of, sort of. On the back table back here is your mise en place. So bowls, cutting boards, some measuring spoons, some spatulas, whatever you need. On the tables, on this table is the cookie. Then there's, on this table, there's the parfaits. There's the burrito here. There is the hummus and the tzatziki sauce here. On the back table is the vegetable pizza. And up front is the waffler and the peacharoo smoothies. Okay? So what we need you to do is to divide into your groups. There should be about 7 of you in each group. And so for a moment it'll be mass chaos, getting all your stuff together, getting to know people. It's okay. This is the part that's always hard for everyone. But when you leave, the whole idea is that you'll have new friends that you can talk to and call upon and use as resources. And we find that to be really helpful. So go ahead, find a station that'll work for you. If we're at your table, just put your stuff underneath. There are serving trays, serving items over here with the parfait area. So get your plates or whatever you want to serve your item on. Alrighty? So, have at it! Do you have any questions about anything you're eating? Would your kids eat the hummus? You think they would? Yeah. So if you're already doing it, this one's a really pretty color. If you add other vegetables to it, you can definitely get that worked in. The tzatziki sauce is made with cucumber. You can chop it fine and not make it smooth, or you can make it smooth. The nice thing about it, we were talking earlier, is that you can use the tzatziki sauce as a dipper. One of the reasons that we gave you the oatmeal recipe, the oatmeal cookie recipe, and the granola recipe is because it's made with oats. And that is a gluten-free, good for everybody food, okay? So by using that in a lot of different ways, even taking the granola instead of the oatmeal and making that with the chocolate chips, with the honey and the peanut butter, makes an incredible cookie, okay? And it's got a little bit more flavor because the oatmeal's toasted, okay? So that gives you an extra option of, when we talk about multiple use, one food, multiple uses, that's what we're talking about, so that we don't have to waste time. What you making?
Before we leave, and we're going to open the floor for more questions. I'll answer questions about proteins, cooking techniques, how to purchase different items. One of the most important things, I was talking to a group and I was telling them, for instance, on your vegetable pizzas, you notice that we used a whole grain English muffin. There's definitely truth to the fact that the whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead. So,
Boy,
we
that's
need to-
sensitive, Sam.
Well, it's the truth. It really is. You know that bread that's white has been bleached. It's got chemicals added to it. It's got all those things that we definitely don't want to be giving to our children. So, however, same thing here with the waffler. It's a whole grain waffle. There's no difference in the taste. You put fresh fruit on it, you put yogurt on it. Once again, it's just about training the children and not giving them any other option, and then they won't know that there's another option out there.
One of the things I wanted to mention real quick, because we've been to a couple of different places, and we're going to put on this website for gluten intolerant folk, for allergy folk. It's called a chocolate kissed cupcake featuring black beans. And I was skeptic because when I was in college, I made a black bean brownie, and they were great warm. And when they got cold, I could use them for hockey pucks. Nice. So Sam told me, I got this recipe that is going to make a great cupcake, and it's made with black beans. I go, no, you're not. You're not tricking me again. And you made what? A couple of hundred for an event. Oh, Zubilation.
Right.
And he brought them out, and we let them cool totally. And these cupcakes are incredible. They don't get hard. They're not hockey pucks. It's black beans, eggs, vanilla, butter, sugar, baking powder, cocoa, and soda. And you can make them ahead, freeze them, do whatever. But now everybody in your house can have cupcakes, because that's always a problem. If the allergy child doesn't get to eat what everybody else eats, they feel bad. Okay? So that'll be on the website when we're done. The other recipe that we found when we went up north to just an incredible lady doing incredible things. She makes a sweet potato bar, like a muffin, like a cake, that uses sugar, oil, egg, oat, and you take the oats and grind it up for flour. That's your flour. Baking soda, salt, cinnamon, ginger, and canned sweet potatoes. And honest to goodness, we're putting that on the website too, because it was over the top. It makes a great breakfast muffin. It could be used as a cake. It could be used for anything. She has a lot of allergies in her house, and so she perfected this. And she's allowing us to share it with you all, because that's kind of the nice thing. As we've gone through the city and the state doing this, you all are doing incredible things. We went to a little girl's kitchen. She was like 21 years old. She ran the church's kitchen, and she had a little table and a little sink and a little tiny stove, and she was turning out fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh everything every single day. And it was amazing. So we're trying to share some of that with you all so that you all can be one community, and that, because I think you're going to learn better and be able to be better prepared. Okay?
Before I
plates.
give you what I would like you to taste, please feel free to do so. 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, whole grain pastas were horrible. I'll be honest with you. They taste like cardboard. People wouldn't touch them.
Nope.
Chefs wouldn't eat them. So we went back and we talked.
Dietitians liked them.
Probably. We went back and we talked to those research and development chefs and said, you know, if you want people to eat it, you guys got to go back to the drawing board and make it taste differently. At least make it palatable. So,
Excuse me.
I have here some nice whole grain linguine that I want you to taste. And as you notice, today I haven't been using any salt, but I am using
Thank you, Sam.
Parmesan cheese. And I know that inside the Parmesan cheese, there's what? So what I did was I integrated the Parmesan cheese right into the marinara sauce because I knew that that flavor would then transfer over to the pasta. Okay, so I want you guys to come up and taste that. But before we do that, or while I'm plating, we didn't do any introductions, and I think that's very important because you guys all do the same thing, and you do a phenomenal job of what you do, of what you do every day. So why don't we just go around the room and you can say your name and the name of your facility and where your facility is located, because it's important that, you know, when you're down there in the trenches and you're trying to do what you do at the grassroots level and facing challenges every day, that you can call somebody that you know, and maybe that person can help you on a certain day, or if you're running short of personnel, or you know how it is, you might just need a cup of sugar. So there's somebody a block away, or a hug.
Some days you just need a hug.
Exactly. Group therapy, whatever whatever. Nobody understands your problems. That person who's doing exactly what you do every day understands. So why don't we start with you, ladies? Where you're from, your name, and how many you feed would be good too.
As Sam said when we first started, you all should be commended. You all do an amazing job. We were honored to receive the grant to be able to do this. We were honored to be able to put it together, and hopefully we've given you some ideas or inspired you to think of things a little bit differently so that you can continue doing what you do to feed our public every single day, because the little people are going to grow up to be big people eventually, and if we do it well with nutrition, then by all means we're going to have a better society. So what did you think of the pasta? Very good. Doesn't taste like whole wheat. Yeah. And when we started talking about this and doing it, how many of you serve your pasta this way? The sauce and the pasta mixed together? Okay, about half of you. The other, you do it with the sauce on top. Is that how you do it? Yeah. If you mix, when you're starting to do whole wheat pasta, if you'll mix the sauce in with the pasta, they're not going to notice the color change, and then you can start moving it out and putting the pasta on the sauce on top and the Parmesan on top. So you'll get there, but again, it's just once they get accustomed to the taste, they're going to be great. Okay, if we can make pasta ahead of time, in our kitchens at any of the facilities I've ever worked at, we make all of our stuff ahead of time. We made the pasta ahead of time. It was dry. We cooked the pasta al dente. What's al dente? I forget.
Firm to the tooth.
Thank you.
Not mushy.
Not mushy.
Nobody wants mushy pasta.
And then we drain it and immediately put it into ice, not ice water, ice, and fluff it. Get the ice all through. When the ice is melted, and you let it drain, and it's going to come out looking just like that. You can cook the pasta 3 days ahead of time. You go back to what we were talking ahead of time earlier. You can do rice that way. You can do couscous. You can do your pastas. You can do any of your grains ahead of time. Then bring them out and warm them in the sauce, or warm them up in the oven with a sauce over the top of it. Anything like that. So you don't have to be cooking and trying to drain it and get it cooled and get it on the plates without having all the water swimming around and the sauce is diluted. You can literally do your pasta ahead of time, then pull it out, shock it, and it's ready to go. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
On the cookie that you did,
Uh-huh.
peanut butter, is there an alteration for that? The one little the one baby that we have, there's an issue with peanut butter.
Sure. What do you now serve him instead of peanut butter?
Anything that doesn't have wheat or peanut butter or.
He's got very sugar.
Okay, we had a soy butter option back here that you could use. We had it out so you could see it. You can also make your own cashew butter, or your own almond butter, or your own pecan butter. How you do that is you take your nuts and buy the ones without salt, okay? Put it in the food processor and process it until it's smooth to what you think is smooth. Then process it 30 seconds longer, because you want that extra 30 seconds to let some of the oil come to the top so it looks like regular peanut butter, so it'll glisten.
So you don't have to add oil or anything to it?
No, nuts already have the oil, okay? When you look at peanut butter, their ingredient list, they're using less peanuts and using sugar and other things so that you get that flavor. If you taste natural peanut butter or cashew butter or almond butter, you probably won't be using peanut butter, okay? Because it is incredibly smooth and the flavor is just wonderful. But you probably can't do it for 300 people. It's not cost effective. But every now and again, you could have, is his name Nathan? Ethan. You could have Ethan Day, and everybody eats like Ethan for that cookie. Or that way he doesn't feel like he's being left out or singled out, where these are Ethan's cookies and these are everybody else's. That's why we tell you, it goes back to the cupcakes, the gluten-free cupcakes, the sweet potato bread. In a daycare, and then as they go to IPS, I can remember the IPS food service director telling me one day when I had this wonderful idea that I was going to plant apple trees on her rooftop. And I said, this will be great. The kids can watch the trees grow and go and pick their own apples. And she said, I have 10,000 kids and they all want their apple to look like the last apple. Good point, okay? That's what everybody wants. Everybody wanted the same size portion, the same this, the same that, so nobody feels neglected. If you can make things like that special for him, he's not going to feel neglected, because then when he gets to school later on, he's going to learn that he can blend in and that it will work for him. So yeah, making your own homemade peanut butter. And the nice thing is that you could make up a pound of peanut butter, and I know that sounds like a lot, but then take the time to make like little spoonfuls of what he needs, throw it in the freezer, and then thaw them out, and you don't ever have, you got a year's worth of supply right there. Because peanut butter freezes, but it doesn't freeze hard, so because of the oil content. So that might help you.
Also, peanut butter is a sauce. Remember, we add that peanut butter to a little bit of chicken broth or chicken stock, and we add some other seasonings to it, and we pour it right over the pasta, and now it's peanut sauce. So you got to think a little bit outside the box. And by the way, did you see what I meant by mise en place? You see how I ran back there when I saw I was a little short? The pasta was already cooked off. I poured the sauce in. It's done, 3 minutes. Same thing you should be doing in your facility. If you're running pasta anytime this week, after tomorrow, make it tomorrow, cool it down, add it to the sauce. Life is simple. But here we are, we're trying to juggle the ground beef and the sauce. I gotta make these snacks. I gotta get this done. I gotta get this.
I'm tired.
Right. Why?
The other nice thing about, most of you, I'm assuming, use dry pasta? Okay, good. Because otherwise you're wasting money. There's no sense in buying fresh pasta for kids. It's just not time effective or cost effective. Right. Have we talked about everything? I can't think of anything.
Proteins. Any questions about chicken? We
Cooking.
know the minimum internal cooking temperature is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. You can purchase it IQF frozen, which means that you're going to have standardized chicken breast the same size. All of them will be 4 ounces or 5 ounces. However, if you're dealing with a large distributor, they probably sell something also called, and they don't tell you about this all the time, called random chicken breast. And if you buy random chicken breast, that means that one chicken breast may be 6 ounces, but another chicken breast in the same bag may only be 2 ounces. But because of that, they're going to sell it to you for 40 or 50 cents less per pound. Okay? So don't be afraid, especially in your world where in most cases, probably with the exception of Angela, you're going to be chopping down the chicken anyway to put it in a sandwich, to put it in a soup. So then why are we buying IQF standardized chicken breast Standardized chicken breasts are for when you want it on a plate and you want each one to look the same. Then you need standardized chicken breast, okay? So remember that. Also remember what I did a little earlier today, which is marinating the chicken breast. Also, most of you probably have either regular conventional ovens or you have convection ovens, but also remember that we can cook that chicken right inside of a stock pot with some chicken stock or chicken base. So don't ever forget about that. You know, that's how
Old
Mom and
school.
them used to do it, right? Put that whole chicken right down inside the pot. Okay, well, same thing now. It'll still work years later. Okay, so you get in a pinch, you can cook that chicken right inside of some good hot boiling water and pull it out, and then, or cook it in the boiling water, add the dry pasta to it. It's a one-pot dish. Add perhaps your country-style vegetables to it. Okay, how many of you doing beef? What kind? Ground beef? Ground. Okay, how many doing ground turkey? All right. When you're using the ground turkey, remember to find out what type of ground turkey. Did it come from the dark meat of the turkey? Did it come from the white meat of the turkey? And you can do some price comparisons that way.
But
what about fish?
nutritionally, you want white meat turkey.
Exactly.
Only because the regular ground turkey, yep. If you look at it, it just says ground turkey. You're getting skin, you're getting fat, you're getting dark and white meat, and it's not as nutritional, it's not as healthy, and you might as well be eating a really high fatty hamburger instead. So you're not, because you're not doing anybody any good.
Okay.
White turkey breast ground is perfect.
Exactly. What about fish? Who's doing fish?
Nice.
Good. All right, so we're not talking about the ones that, I don't know where if you ever looked in the water at a fish, but they aren't square. Okay, when they come out the water, they really aren't square.
And they're not breaded?
And they're not pre-breaded, right. And they're not called fillet of fish.
Oh.
So for those who are doing fish, what kind are you doing? Tilapia, good, okay. Just remember with the tilapia and those type of fish that your cook time is very important. Even if they were frozen, depending on the size, they would still take no longer than about 20 minutes to cook. And one of the most, one thing that will turn off your children or anybody for that matter is overcooked fish. Don't overcook it, okay? As soon as it starts to flake or pull apart, it's done. Stop cooking it. It'll continue to cook and it'll be perfect, okay? Vegetables. How many people serving vegetables around here? You know, yeah,
Should be
you see
everybody.
who's sitting in the back of the room. Let me say that one more time. Who's serving vegetables around here? All your hands better go up. You don't see the people back there. All right, so green vegetables. Remember this. Green vegetables will always absorb the flavor of whatever liquid that they're cooked in. So if you want the kids to eat the vegetables, then why don't we season them a little bit? By seasoning the water. And I'm not necessarily meaning salt. You can use chicken stock or chicken broth. Be careful with that because some of those have sodium in it. You can put lemon pepper in the water. You can put garlic in the water. You can put bay leaves in the water. Just remember to take them out. Season that water, and whatever that water tastes like, that's what those vegetables are going to taste like. Just back in an old Southern cuisine, right? We used to, when we didn't know any better, put ham hocks and pigtails. That's because those were smoked meats. And those smoked meats released their flavor into the water, and it made those green vegetables taste better when we put the green vegetables in the water. Same thing today, nothing's changed, except we should be smart enough to know that we have other options other than, you know, the unhealthy, the shanks and things like that that are fatty or that are high in cholesterol. So, the ground beef, how many of you have meatloaf on the menu? Good.
How do you make it?
Yeah, that's
How
what I
do you
was
make
wondering.
it?
In a pan, and then you drain, like, once it's done, we like make it in squares.
Okay.
Put it on the big pan and then drain it ever so, you know, in the.
Anybody else do it any other way?
We put it in a pan, smash it out, flip it over, cook it a day ahead, and then serve it the next day.
Okay. Any other way?
Take ground turkey and ground beef, mix it together, and of course the other
Right.
That's the right way to do it,
That's the
folks.
nice, yeah, that's an easy way to do it.
Why go through making this big pan? In most cases, what happens when we try to cut it? Falls apart. So if you know how many kids you're going to feed that day, why not just do individual meatloafs? And then when they come down the line or when it goes to the classroom, all you're doing is giving them individual meatloafs, and you can still put the red stuff on top of it. I don't eat that stuff because it's disgusting, but if you want to go ahead and put the ketchup on top or your barbecue sauce or your mushroom sauce, then that's fine, but you're working harder. And how can you guarantee that you're giving standardized portion sizes? Because I'm sure that you're not cutting each one and then putting it on the scale before you give it to each child, right? I'm just saying. I know you are, because I know, you know, they're back there. So anyway, but that would make more sense, right? Let's get this big mixture of meatloaf together. And even if we don't have individual little loaf pans or individual muffin pans, if we've got a standardized scoop, then we can just scoop it, form it. How many? 30 maybe on one sheet tray?
Right.
Bake it off 3/4 the way, take it out, put the ketchup on the top, and then finish
It's
it off
not a
in the
bad
oven,
word.
and it's ready to go. Okay. So that's a quicker, easier way than trying to sit there and cut it while it's hot. When dealing with children and menu changes, it stays on the menu at least 4 times before we take it off the menu. You got to give them an opportunity to accept and embrace the change. And what do we know is that with the dynamics that you're dealing with kids, peer pressure is a big deal. So once one kid likes it, then the next kid likes it, then the next kid likes it, now everybody's eating it. Okay?
But you don't
So
have to
it's-
make a big deal
Exactly.
about it. If so-and-so, if one of the kids doesn't eat it, that's fine.
Right.
Just leave it on the plate, but still keep introducing it.
Right.
Peer pressure may take a couple of times if he's a little hard-headed or she's a little trying, but they'll eventually come around to it. There's foods, even Sam, we might even convince Sam that ketchup on top of meatloaf isn't the worst thing if we keep introducing it. Maybe not, but we'll keep trying.
I'll pray for it. The whole ketchup thing is, yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you all for coming. Thank
Okay.
you for taking care of the children and
Thank you.
being part of this program. If you have dirty dishes, we ask that you put them in the waste baskets around the room.